Outputting our coverage. It's what we do. That's all we do every Thursday at 5:30. College football. College football. Mountain West Conference. Doesn't matter. SEC is all that matters. Nick Saban is crazy. Yeah. And that's all. Let's start the show. Outputting our coverage.
All right. Welcome in to Outputting Our Coverage, new and improved, with theme music brought to you by rapper SECZ.
I like
Sweeping the nation. So we're very excited about our new intro song. We're also very excited about the start of fall football practice.
It's so close. You can just feel it in the air.
Auburn actually started yesterday. I'm not sure what day Alabama picks up or some of the other schools. But pretty much everybody will be starting here in the next week or so.
With Nick Saban, it's probably classified as when they start.
Probably nobody knows. Good news for Auburn. Everybody seemed to show up on the roster with the notable exception of our good friend Zeke Pike, who is now officially off the team. Does this surprise you?
No, not at all.
No,
and it's the correct decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Just had too many problems. I think I predicted here on the show that he would never suit up for Auburn, and unfortunately, that turned out to be true. So, anyway, start of fall practice, very exciting. Just about a month until those kickoff classic games. Of course, Alabama will be facing Michigan at Jerry's World, the Dallas Cowboys stadium.
Home of the giant television screen.
Yes. I don't understand that stadium. People go to that stadium to watch a football game on a giant television screen, which they could do in their own home. But
exactly, and with apparently too few seats.
It's Texas, though. It's a different place. And, of course, Auburn playing one of the games featured in the Chick-fil-A Bowl kickoff classic in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome. The other game, I believe, is Tennessee and
North Carolina
State, yeah. So probably Auburn and Clemson, a little bit of a better game, but we can finally start talking about some real football here. It's exciting stuff.
I'm so excited, and on top of that, we also have high school football that's starting up around us.
Absolutely.
We'll get into that a little bit closer to the year, but I'm so excited. Live football, it's going to consume my life.
Yeah, as if it hasn't already. I mean, in the off-season, we've had plenty to talk about, but we were excited that we did not have to open the show this week by talking about Penn State. We may have to throw in a little bit at the end, but, you know, if you're good, if you listeners are good, we'll spare you the Penn State talk. So
I think I'd be okay not talking about Penn State for 1 week.
Yeah, we could probably get away with that. But other sports news, other things going on, this thing called the Olympics. Obviously, college football not a part of the Olympics, which makes it a total disappointment. But have you been paying attention to this at all?
I've actually watched a couple of them. I listen more on the radio to the updates. I am extremely interested to see the medal count, just because we should win everything.
Absolutely.
I'm disappointed to see that we're currently tied with China at 30 medals apiece overall, and they are kicking our butt in gold medal.
Yeah, it is nice to have a rival again. There, for a while, like in the early 2000s or even like the late 90s, it was kind of tough to be all nationalistic because, you know, the Soviet Union was gone and all that, but I'm so glad China stepped up to fill that void.
Hooray for China for being the evil empire.
Yeah.
We do have a chance to catch up with the track and field events coming up because they just don't run well.
Yeah, that's the thing. When China starts winning all the track and field stuff, that's when you know something is up.
And there's already been a lot of doping allegations with one of their female swimmers. Have you seen that?
Yeah, she looked like a man, so I can see that. I can
a little
see,
mannish.
But the thing about that is that she swam a split faster than Ryan Lochte, the American man who is pretty much kind of overtaken Michael Phelps maybe as the best male swimmer. But that's pretty unusual for a woman to be able to swim faster than a man. So.
Not only that, she's a teenager, and she has not swum. She's not swam at this rate almost throughout her career. It's one of those weird things where she swam at a certain rate for a little while, and then she just peaked at the Olympics. So a lot of people are pointing fingers at that.
But it's a lot easier to swim fast, though, when the government is threatening to kill your family and also take any first, second, or third-born children that you may have in the future.
That is a good point.
So, you know.
So I need to ask you this. I've been hearing on the radio all week, a lot of debate going on. Michael Phelps just overtook some gymnast from Russia as the greatest or the most decorated Olympian that's ever been in the games. Does that automatically make him the greatest Olympian?
I don't know. I mean, when I try to think of other people that might compare. It's difficult for me. Certainly nobody in our era really has compared to what he's done, but I almost kind of feel more lukewarm about Michael Phelps this time. I feel like he probably shouldn't have competed in these games, even though I saw earlier, spoiler alert for any of you who haven't watched it yet, he won another gold today. He faced off against Ryan Lochte in, I believe, the 200-meter. That's another thing that makes me mad about swimming. Let's use English units, then I would like it better. But
exactly.
Anyway, he won another gold today, but overall, he's not as dominant as he was in 2008, definitely.
Well, he actually said in 2008 that he didn't think he wanted to compete in the Olympics in London in 2012, and he's actually confirmed it in an interview. He did not actually come out and say it, but what he did say was that he doesn't want to get wet anymore. He talked about how getting out of a hot bed into a cold pool was the worst feeling in the world, which I would tend to disagree with.
I don't know.
Worst feeling in the world?
Yeah,
it's just a little over dramatic.
Yeah, that's a little much.
And then he even talked about his awful trip where he had to go to Hawaii for a week, and all of his family wanted to go to the beach, and he just told them he doesn't want to get wet anymore. He's just done with that.
Well, I feel like Michael Phelps' heart is not in it. I think it's pretty easy to see that if you're watching him on TV. He's still having a good time, but...
And yet he's still raking in the gold medals.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's not as much fun to watch when you've seen how good somebody can be, and then you can tell they're just kind of mailing it in a little bit.
But you do have to give it to him. He is an impressive athlete.
Absolutely.
He's a great swimmer, possibly the greatest swimmer. However, a lot of people are throwing out the name Carl Lewis. He was a great track and field athlete, and he won what a lot of people think are two completely different events in the 100-meter dash and the long jump in the same year.
That's true.
So what do you think about Carl Lewis? Is he better than Michael Phelps? Is he the same?
I don't know. I mean,
do you not care?
My memories of Carl Lewis kind of began in 1996, and I think he had a little bit more success in 1992. But I just don't see him as the same kind of transcendent athlete as Michael Phelps. I think in 20 years from now, if you go up to somebody on the street and ask them if they know who Michael Phelps is, they will know. But I think a lot of people, if you went up to them on the street and asked them who's Carl Lewis, they'd be like, I think that's the guy who cuts my hair.
That's a good point, but I think Michael Phelps, he's not a great personality.
No.
He's not going to get a lot of advertisement deals. I actually think the other way on that. I think they'll both be unknown in 20 years. I don't know that a lot of people are going to remember Michael Phelps.
Well, maybe. I think Michael Phelps is also helped by the proliferation of media. Lots more people witnessed what he did in 2008 on
That's
TV,
true.
On the internet. So I think that kind of helps him out a little bit too. But
and also, he does have a run-in with the law. I think he had that picture taken with marijuana.
Yeah.
He does tend to make some bad life decisions.
It's disappointing.
That could keep him in the news.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that could be a way that a lot of people know
There's
it.
no such thing as bad publicity, I guess. But in other news with the Olympics, women's gymnastics team won their first gold since 1996. So that's pretty exciting, I guess. Men's gymnastics completely failed, but I don't really understand men's gymnastics to begin with.
They got a bronze in the individual, but I think that as a team they came in fifth.
Other than that,
the badminton,
let's
threw the
talk about
game.
that. Let's talk about that for a second.
First of all, who imagined that we would be talking about badminton?
I didn't even know that was the real sport. I thought that was something you did at a cookout or something.
I've never actually played it, but apparently there were two Chinese teams and a South Korean team, and I might be mistaken on the countries there, but they basically just ditched their games. They intentionally tried to lose so that they would get a better seeding in the tournament, what kind of sport allows you to lose?
It's very weird.
And get better seeding. That's a little weird to me. But they were sent home. They were thrown out of the Olympics.
That's crazy.
And one of the Chinese players came out today and said she's quitting the sport.
Wow, that'll teach him for sure. But I think there's an obvious solution to this, and it's called the BCS Badminton Championship Series. So
I think the more obvious answer to this is stop playing badminton.
That could be true too.
Now chess will be in the Olympics in 2016.
Is that for real?
So
you're not kidding. That's real.
Completely serious.
Wow.
So we just keep upping the ante in the chess.
Are Chinese people good at chess? Of course they are.
Yes.
We should not have allowed that. That's just another thing that Chinese people are going to.
Got to watch out for Magnus Carlsen.
All right, so let's brainstorm for a second. Sports that Americans would hands down beat the Chinese at, other than track and field.
And basketball?
We already have that. This has to be a new sport.
These are other sports?
Yeah, a new sport to add to the Olympics.
bobsledding, anything that involves ice.
It's got to be a summer sport. You keep trying to cop out on me here. You got to give me something good.
Golf.
Golf. That
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. That might be a good one. Although, I don't know.
Baseball, no.
How about
baseball would beat the Chinese. We would probably get crushed by the Japanese.
How about underachieving? That could be a new sport that we could be really good at.
That would be impressive.
Yeah.
Or overeating.
Yeah. Oh, competitive eating.
Competitive eating.
That's where we got him, right there.
Joey Chestnut, bring it home.
Yeah. Well, it's Kobayashi. He's not Chinese, right?
Right.
He's something else.
I think he's one of the other ones.
Oh, wow. That was really offensive. We should probably move on. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but we're going to be back on the other side talking about some more of the SEC teams. Got a special surprise coming up later in the show. A friend of the show is going to join us to talk about one of these teams, but on the other side, we'll tackle two of them, let you know our thoughts here on Outputting Our Coverage.
It's time for SEC preview. SEC, Big 10, Big 12, can't count. SEC, college football robber barons. SEC, yeah, they're big, they're fast, they're strong. And Missouri and Texas A&M as well. Yeah, SEC preview. Here we go.
All right. Another great bustin' rhyme there. Bringing us into the SEC preview portion of the broadcast.
The more and more I hear us, the more and more I am impressed.
Yeah, I think we may just quit this radio gig and just go rapping full time.
I think we missed our calling.
I think we did. Speaking of a team that may have missed their calling a little bit, let's start off with arguably the worst team in the SEC this year, the Kentucky Wildcats. They've been throwing a little bit too much weight behind their basketball lately. I don't know. How long has Joker Phillips been in Kentucky now? Is this his third year?
Third year, starting this year.
And to be honest, I have almost seen a downgrade from where they were.
Right. You almost hope that Calipari switches over and starts recruiting for the football in his spare time. I mean, he's known for getting number one recruits in basketball. Maybe he could recruit the football players. I don't know. If we could establish a one and done in football, I think he'd have a pretty good success rate.
Yeah, they got to do something. The offense, I mean, you look at the players who are slated to start, it's difficult to find any names you recognize, first of all. And
I'd say LaRod King is probably the only person anybody would know.
Yeah, a wide receiver. I've never heard of him, honestly. Maybe that's a strength. Maybe they have a couple guys at tailback, tight end. The rest of it, patchwork offensive line, an untested quarterback. Not really good in the shark-infested waters of the SEC.
This is where being at the bottom of the SEC can really hurt you, and it's in recruiting the linemen.
Right.
The offensive line and defensive line. There's only a couple of elite players in the entire country, and the SEC gobbles them up. And if you're at the bottom of the pack, you're just going to get crushed in the SEC because they have all the horses. And I think Kentucky is extremely weak on the offensive line this year.
Yeah, and, the tough thing for Kentucky is not only do they not have, many great players in the starting lineup, but the real key to being able to win in the SEC is depth. So if you don't even have good guys to start with, you're obviously not going to have much depth. So not looking too good for Kentucky on offense. Maybe things are better for them on defense.
Defense, they look pretty solid. Linebacker Avery Williamson, probably the best star over there. He makes tackles everywhere. He's a very athletic linebacker, good at the run. He's an all-around player, but they're really going to have to be solid on defense because I think it's going to be another year where the offense struggles. They were 116th and 117th in most categories last year on offense.
Yeah, the defensive line looks pretty good for them as well. They have 3 returning starters there, quite a bit of experience. The guys in the middle look pretty big to me, 315 pounds, 331 pounds, so hopefully that'll help them.
If nothing else, they can just fall down and take up space.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing you got to do as an SEC defense is try to stop the run, so maybe that gives them a little bit of a leg up there, but I don't know. As far as the secondary, definitely not any names that I recognize. I don't know.
They're probably going to be youthful. I think they're going to use a lot of their recruits coming in. They're going to play a lot of people in the secondary and just try to find somebody who can make a play. But if they do indeed stop the run, then they need to watch out for the pass because Kentucky does have a tendency to get passed on even last year, and they could get eaten up with that young secondary.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at their schedule real quick. They open up in a first-week rivalry